Hi everyone, we will be ending off Module 5, Globalization, with an essay question. Like I've mentioned earlier, globalization, this topic, there will be no source-based question. So, let's take a look at the essay question then. Okay, this is explain how improvement in standard of living is an important economic impact. Okay, notice this is asking for economic impact. To take note on this part A, the evaluation should focus on economic impact and not the overall impact of globalization. Okay, remember when I mentioned to you a lot of times on the hierarchy model, we have economic impact. Okay, this is globalization. Then we have social impact, and we have environmental impact. Okay, so under economic impact, we have many factors. Okay, one of it is standard of living. Okay, so, and then two other factors that you will need to explain. So, what the question focus is on here. Okay, asking you how each one is an important economic impact. But a lot of students, they mix up. They thought you are asking for this one, which is wrong. Okay. Because actually, the standard one will be asking, of course, which impact is the most significant impact of globalization, but this is not the case. This one is asking for over here. For answer in L1, like I have shown you a lot of times already, there is no focus on the question. Like, they ask you how important is standard of living, and you answer by say it's not important, you won't get a mark, because the golden rule is to always agree with the question. For L2, you are mainly describing the given factor. You describe how standard of living is standard of living is. So you just describing without linking to economic impact. So for globalization, you talk about countries opening their markets for investment, and you quote some statistic of average household income increasing from 49,000 to 5,400. After globalization has taken root. So it enables greater lifestyle choices as consumers are presented with greater variety of goods when there is international trade. So this is just describing on the how standard of living improves. But how is it an important economic impact? This will be in L3. So it will be everything in front, the previous slide. Okay, about how the income increase and wider consumer choice. And then you evaluate in your own words, okay, why the improvement in standard of living is significant economic impact. You're linking it to the economic impact. So take a look at this answer. Actually, they're all from a textbook. So the revenue collected from investment is used for education, health, defense. So for other purposes, these areas are developed, which thus improve the standard of living. So international trade brings a variety of goods, leads to increased lifestyle choices, and hence a better quality of life. And higher living standard means that people are able to carry out more activities with greater comfort. And once again, I highlight to you, you should link back to the economic impact and not impact to globalization as a whole. For part B, explain two other economic impacts of globalization. Which one do you think is more important? So previously we talked about we have talked about standard of living. So there are two other. For L1, of course, which means you are talking about the most significant impact, increased competition among nations. Okay, but this is just merely stating. Okay, obviously there's no focus on the question, so you earn your L1, and you merely stating one alternative factor without describing them, you will not get the L2. Okay, and of course always agree with the question. Say yes, two other factors are important economic have significant economic impact. For L2, you'll be describing either one of the alternative factor. By now, actually, you should know. Okay, so for the first alternative factor is competition in investments and markets. In globalizations, you talk about the TNCs setting up and you state examples when China opening its door. This is the most salient example, so you just have to memorize about China opening its doors and having the cities. So there's a lot of investment and the cities develop very quickly with all the infrastructure, etc. And China now is an attractive country for foreign investments and a strong challenge to Singapore. Or, okay, you say this one, you can get L2, or you state another possible alternative factor is increased competition for talents. With globalization, there's increased mobility. Remember, I have highlighted this word to you. You need to write down this when you refer to talent because this one links developments in transportation to talent. Now the talent is able to move quickly, so the highly skilled have the opportunity to find employment in another country, and these highly skilled people are demanded. Okay, for L3, of course, it is evaluating either one of the alternative factor. Okay, so L2, which is one of it in the previous slide, either one of it, plus you explain. So you explain increased competition for investment and market. Okay, because there's increased investment leads to growth in industrialized countries with developed infrastructure, and the less developed countries find it difficult to attract investment. So you talk about the income inequality problem causing the less developed country to be trapped in a poverty cycle. This exacerbates inequitable distribution of revenue. So it's income inequality. Okay, or on the other hand, you explain the second alternative factor on how competition for talent is a significant economic impact of globalization. So competition for talents leads to brain drain, such as in India, where the undergraduates or your educated people are more attracted by better prospects elsewhere, and this hampers economic growth. Okay, as talents that perform efficiently contribute significant to the economy as is lost to the country. Okay, of course, like this you should link to the economic impact by stating about brain drain. Brain drain itself is a word. Okay. For L4, okay, so it's just a copy and pasting, like a mix and match of all the information I've given you in front. So you explain, you are describing and explaining why one impact is significant. So here I have chosen to explain for the competition for talents, why it is significant. Okay, so it's just a copy and paste from all the slides in front. You describe, you explain, and then you need to briefly state. Okay, briefly explain, describe without a detailed explanation on why there's another impact. So a second alternative factor. L5, of course, if you can recall, it will be a combination of both alternative factors, both elements of L3, so AF1 plus AF2, describe and explain. L6, of course, weighing of the relative consequences. In my opinion, competition for investment is more important. So you explain why investment is more important, because countries that fail to attract in a competitive economy are trapped in a poverty cycle. Economic growth is severely impeded. This makes the world vulnerable to tensions among nations due to rising divide. So you need to focus on the poverty cycle that competition for investment actually led. But, so you just explain a bit, but talent is also important to drive economic growth. So remember this skill that I taught you in the previous for module 4 under managing international relations, that while you agree that one is more important and you make a stand that yes, one is more important, you should also not dismiss, you say that I do not dismiss the other one. So the other one is also as important. In this case, it is talent. You say talent is also important because it's a more pertinent issue for countries like Singapore, which heavily depend on human resource. Okay, for most countries, economic Investments, however, still remain their main driver of economic growth. So you say yes, AF1 is better, but you say AF2 is also important, then you make a conclusion, final conclusion, and to say that still AF1 is still the most important factor. So I have quickly gone through review the fifth essay question, which is this topic on globalization. Next week we will be moving on to our last module, module 6, which is on Venice. And under module 6, first we'll be talking about the rise of Venice, on how Venice became a city-state from the growth from the 9th to the 15th century.